prepare to put on your tinfoil hats.
If you had had an experience that you would like to share, you can contact us at challengeunknown@gmail.com.
All right,
Like
Bradley.
what is it? An M1 Bradley? No, it's not an M1 Bradley. What is it? I'll remember it some other time.
Okay. How's it going,
M2,
dude?
it's an M2 Bradley, and
M2
it's going
Bradley.
good.
Yeah, man, just start. I know you got 2 encounters, so just start from let's start with the first one. Go ahead, the floor's yours, man.
All right. Hello, my name is Bradley. I'm doing good. I'm from Georgia, North Georgia, up at the base hills of what I assume would be the Appalachian region, but they never told me that. So, I'm 20 years old now. So a little bit about me. I was always kind of into this kind of stuff, and I never really thought that stuff was real until, back in '07, where, I came face to face with one of these things. As for believing, I didn't at the time, but now 100%. So the story takes place back in September 2007. I'm in my room playing video games because it was a couple days after my birthday. It was fall break and stuff like that. My grandfather walks into the room and he's like, "Hey Bradley, can you take out the trash before it gets too cold so I can take it to the dump tomorrow?" I go, "Yeah." So I get out of my bed and put my shoes on. Walk outside. I don't know why he said it would be cold, because it felt to be about 65-ish. Like, it was kind of warm. Like, I didn't need a jacket to go outside. And so I take the trash, I walk out to the garage and open the garage door with the switch on the wall. And, we had an automatic light that as soon as the garage door was opened, it would turn on the light on the outside so that, you could see when you pulled up. So that light turned on, and I'm, kind of hastily walking to the back of the truck, which was parked like he just drove straight up, so it was further away, the tail end of the truck. And I always had a fear of not well, I said of the dark on my Reddit, but like it's more of like what's in the dark, like what I can't see because of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could say I felt like I was being watched, but I didn't necessarily feel like that. Like, you have this feeling in the back of your mind that you think something could be out there, but you're questioning yourself. Like, they're like, "Oh, there's no way something's out there. Like, there's no possible way that something would, come up this close to a house and, try to hurt me." But yet I still walked like I had like that sort of fear, like it would happen. So I get back close to the tail end of the truck. Sorry, that threw me off. And instead of just walking up to the side of the truck and just putting it over the edge, I just kind of like tossed it back there, kind of hoping it would make it, and so I could run back in the house and get out of the darkness. But when I heard the trash bag hit the tailgate and then drop to the ground, it was at that moment when my heart like dropped like into my stomach, and I was like, great. So I look around, I don't see anything. So I was like, you know what? It's not gonna kill me, and just go back there and toss it in, make sure it goes in this time. So I walked down behind the truck and grabbed the trash bag and set it on the inside of the bed, and sorry. Uh, and then I just right there, as soon as I set it down, something came over me, and I was like, I'm definitely being watched right now. And I just stood there for like maybe 30 seconds, unmoving, just thinking like, what could be behind me? Is there anything behind me at all? And I slowly turn around, and it took my eyes a couple seconds to adjust because I was facing the light, and then all of a sudden I had my back to the light. And our driveway, it's the upper half where the cars are parked. It's still on a hill, but then as you go down the driveway a little bit more, it becomes a steeper downgrade, and then it levels off and curves to the right if you're leaving the driveway. Well, right there at that little ridge line of where it drops down into a steeper angle, I could just see something standing there. I can only see from the knees up, but from what I could see, it looked to be about as tall as I was, just from the knees up. I'd like to point out that at that time, I was no taller than 5'7". So to see something that could be taller than me on its knees, just, it kind of freaked me out and stuff like that. And I just stood there for like, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half, just staring at this thing. And I thought, is this some kind of joke? Am I seeing a bear? And then my eyes adjusted, and I was like, a bear wouldn't stand on 2 feet like that. And I know this because my grandfather had already, taken me out to the woods and showed me the surrounding area. He told me what these creatures look like. And based off of what he had taught me, there was nothing matching the description of what I was looking at right at that moment. And so I put my hands behind me and, walk sidestep to the left to the side of the truck and then start backing up. And with every step I took, it felt like it was getting closer. Like, not just moving with me, keeping the same amount of distance. Like, no, it was like for every half step I took, it took like a 2-foot step, getting closer and closer to me. And by the time I had reached the doorway where the garage door was, I felt around the corner, found the button for the garage door, and I pushed it, and I started hearing the garage door go down. And I waited about maybe 10 seconds or so that it was more closed, and then I just turned around and booked it right inside, through the garage door, through the back room where the pool table was, and into the kitchen. My grandparents asked me, what's going on? And before I said anything, I run into the living room, and I was like, Grandpa, there's something outside. It's standing up on 2 feet, and I don't know what it is. Can you please grab the gun? I don't feel safe. And he looked at me reluctantly, and he's like, Bradley, there's nothing else out here except, our neighbors that are at least a mile up the gravel road. So it's not them. And I was like, Grandpa, I know I saw something. And I could tell that my voice was shaking because it was breaking, almost like it is right now. And my grandfather could see that I had that fear in my eyes, and he's like, Bradley, stay right here. I'll come get you when I have the gun. I was like, okay. So I stood there with my grandmother. She didn't know what was going on. All she knew is that I took the trash out. I saw a figure. I came sprinting inside, fearing for my life. And then when I looked at her, it was like she saw my heart drop again, because I felt it drop again just by the look she had in her eyes. A couple minutes go by, and my grandfather walks into the living room with a 30-aught. He's like, Bradley, I want you to come with me. I promise you nothing is going to happen to you. Okay, whatever is outside, if there is anything outside, it's going through me first. I give you my word. And I was like, okay. So I lead him out onto the front porch. Now, the wall where the parking garage is and the front of the front porch, there is a good maybe 40-yard the 40-yard difference. So the front porch is closer to the little dip where I supposedly seen something. And so from the front porch, instead of it being like 50 yards away from me seeing the creature, it is now more like 10. And my grandfather looked around, you know, he had the flashlight and stuff like that, and he was shining the light all along the driveway, even around the front yard from what we could see only from the front porch, and there was nothing there. And he's like, Bradley, it's late. I think you should just go to sleep. Don't even bother playing video games the rest of the night. I think you should just go to sleep right now and just try to forget. So I was like, okay. I go back in my room and I fall asleep. A couple hours later, I had the dream that what I had seen actually managed to catch me. And right as soon as it managed to catch me in the dream, I woke up and I could see that the front porch light was on. And I just laid there like, what the hell did I just see? What the hell scared me so much that it gave me a nightmare of what had happened or what could have happened. And then I see a shadow walk by the window of my bedroom. The window, it sat about, the bottom of the window sat about 2 feet off of the floor. The window itself was about 4 foot tall, and it was at least 2.5 feet from the ceiling. It spanned almost my entire wall, so if I opened the curtains, I could pretty much see the whole front porch. So my curtains are very thin. They let a lot of light through. It's kind of like a shower curtain, except, you know, it's not plastic and doesn't keep water out. So I just see something big. Like, it was tall enough to, like, when it walked in front of the window, its whole shadow just walked right across the window, like it was just a solid thing, like a solid white line or dark line was just spread over the whole height of the window and just was moving left to right, like someone was bringing a tall wall by it. I just lay there looking at this and I was like, what is going on right now? I can only see the side view of what was on the front porch, and based only on what I had seen, this thing was at least 2 foot wide, like from back to chest. It was huge, like absolutely huge. And then I saw it turn, and I guess the way it turned, it was turning to like face, like it was turning around, like it was walking left to right, and then it turned around and then walked the other way. But before it walked the other way, I felt it. I watched it turn, and the way it was turning, I wasn't sure, but it was like it was turning and looking right at my window. It stayed there, and it stayed like that for about maybe 30 seconds, and then it turned the rest of the way and walked back the other way. So I was like, I'm laying in my bed, I'm breathing heavily, I have adrenaline in my veins, and I was like, there's no way I am going to wake up my grandparents at 1 o'clock in the morning over something I think I see or something that might be there. I don't want to put them through that, and I'm not sure I want to get out of bed right now because something tells me if I leave this room, it's going to burst through that window.
Yeah, man, something
So,
that size, man, I'd be freaked out that it was just gonna bash through the window, man.
I felt the exact same way. Like, think about it this way. The only thing I had in my room was my uncle's BB gun. Now, don't get me wrong, that BB gun is kind of powerful, okay? Because it's one of those things you just keep pumping the more air gets into it.
It's an air rifle that you use to like hunt small game.
And I was like, okay, if something comes in this room, they're getting it. See, here's the thing. My bed was on one side of the room. My uncle's BB gun was on the other side of the room, at least 12 feet away from me. That's how big my room was. And so I just laid there, just looking out my window, not even leaving my bed, not even changing the position I was in on my bed. And I just waited it out. So the next morning, I go outside and I could see the marks. Like I could see muddy footprints on the stairs, on the front porch. These footprints, I didn't know how long an inch was at this time, but at that time the footprints took up at least 75% of my whole forearm. That's, I don't know how many inches that was, because like I said, I didn't know how long an inch was at that time. But looking back on it now, my best guess is that it was at least 11 inches long.
Wow.
So I let it go, and I tried to convince myself that what I'd seen wasn't real, and that it's just somebody playing a joke on me and stuff like that.